trash, man.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
We were going to have Nugget on today, but I got my, I assumed all of the East Coast at the same time. So he's going to be on next week.
Rookie mistake.
Yeah, amateur.
Rookie mistake.
How was the weekend? Anything interesting happen?
Pretty quiet, man.
Yeah, it was nice. Weather was nice. Beautiful day in Sydney town.
I was in New South Wales's greatest spot, Newcastle.
Contributing to the outbreak.
No,
That's fucking
I was
7 cases today in there alone.
You guys are winning again, Andrew.
Oh, shit.
Oh, you could be.
I was really funny going anywhere. I'm like, you feel like a leper going from Victoria. You're like, and then I come back and I get 2 messages going, hey, these have been listed as places you're not required to test or quarantine, but monitor your symptoms. I'm like, yeah. Oh,
well, half of Newcastle's got it now, thanks to Melbourne.
Nice.
Stepping up from Melbourne.
Ground zero.
It was
Action
Wednesday
zero.
last week before I arrived there. It was on my second of third stomach bug sicknesses of the last 14 days.
No one ever knows who the first zombie is, man.
Yeah.
It's just when they're all
The
zombies.
person who does look like a zombie, and actually that haircut makes you look like Herman Monster, Andrew. You just need the balls. No, that's Adam's family. The old Herman Monster.
I got you. Yeah, I got you.
I do need a haircut.
Oh.
It's been a while. See how luscious it is now?
I don't know if
Beautiful.
the haircut will do it.
It's looking good, man.
Thanks, bro.
You're welcome.
How was your International Day of 6,000? People want to have a go at me for having a lot of fights on. How many fights were there on the weekend?
I'd say close to 60.
That's how many rounds? Because we're apparently counting rounds we win and lose now.
Wow, yeah. So the Kids Day, we had 3 events. The Kids Day, it ended up like just overlapping with the other, but the Kids Day was fucking amazing, man.
That was cool.
Big shout out to the MTA Junior Committee, Lewis, Shane Greenwood and Mud Singh. They did a phenomenal job in matchmaking and looking after that event. We had it kind of run separately because here we can't have kids fighting. So they match made everything based on the usual stuff. It was all pre-matched, slightly different rule set. So what Shane's introduced a kid's report card, which is freaking awesome, actually. We should get him on here to have a bit of a chat about it. So basically what it is I can't remember the areas, but it's, let's say, attack, defense, footwork, clinch. There's traffic lights in there, green, orange, red, and the judges will circle each traffic light based on what they have. So they give it back to them. They give them a report card, what they need to work on, and then they can run through it with their coaches back at the gym.
Is there a winner and loser?
In the ring, no. We're legally not allowed to do that. It's light, so it's point sparring basically, and there's different rule sets based on the ages. Mud Singh has a lot of young ones, and so what we've done is under, I think it's 6 to 8 or under 6s. There's actually no below the waist allowed because they can't control themselves that way. So it's everything's above the waist. So we're getting them used to kicking higher and all that type of stuff. And man, it was just so cool. It was a proper
head contact.
event. Yeah, what?
There's no head contact.
No, under 12s, no head contact. Over 12s, light head contact. And then, there's a few teething issues around that, but we're gonna catch up and run through it all for next year. We've got a circuit plan, so set dates, set areas, basically join for the year, and you get those events. And I'm really excited about it. We'll talk about the police thing later on because potentially combat sports in Sydney is going to be up shit creek next year, so we might just move into juniors instead. But then we had while that was going on inside, spreading everything in there, Then we had an outdoor event started with
Andrew, just don't use the word spreading.
It's like saying bomb on a plane. It's like saying bomb on a plane. You can't do it, man.
Spreading is like saying cunt in like 98. You just don't say it.
Well, while that was circulating indoors, we had an outdoor event, and the outdoor event was a lot of hard work, but I'm fucking so stoked with the way that the day, and like after having such a shitty year, just seeing everyone there together, outdoors. The weather's been terrible here, and the weather was fantastic. Vibes are good, man. It was everything I really wanted it to be, and more. So event wise, I was really, really happy. We had like 18 development day fights, and then that just kind of spewed onto the amateur and the pro card, and yeah, wow, what a day, man.
What's the difference between development day bouts and amateurs?
So development days, what we kind of consider a C-class bout, where they are first timers up to maybe 5. But to be honest, if they're a proper fighter, they'll just have one and then fuck off out of there. It's 3 1.5 minute rounds. They wear the full fruit suit, 16-ounce gloves, and they can go for it. And yeah, man, we've been doing them for like about 3 years now. So it's obviously caught on, and different states have their various versions of it. But we've found that because of the 16-ounce gloves, and the smarter gyms work their fighters around that so that they know they're not going to knock anyone out, they're actually trying to outpoint each other. We're actually, and the other rule that we have is that if you get your head pulled, because there's no knees to the face, so if you get your head pulled down, you get a warning. If you get your head pulled down the second time, you get an 8 count. Because what we've got a lot of striking gyms that come in and do that for their MMA and stuff like that, and they've got gradings and shit like that too. So we found that a lot of those guys, because of the MMA aspect, would like kind of burrow out of clinch and stuff. So we're penalizing them now because the guys can't knee them in the face, so they got to know to stand up properly. And it's been working a treat. We might reassess next year whether we do the body armor or not. But still, man, like Kieran, that's your first one you've been to, eh?
That was the first time I'd put anyone in a development day. Yeah, since yeah, man, I enjoyed it because we had sort of 2 guys. We had 2 guys do it, and it was a good experience for them. In exactly what you said, they knew it was 16, so it was like exactly like you should fight and be smart and practice. And man, I thought it was really cool for him. And I think it's a good way to have someone. I've always personally, I actually shied away from them. I was always of the opinion like they're either ready to fight or they're not. But I think I've kind of changed my mind a little bit now, in that maybe it's almost like a reward for the guys who are training really hard and really are getting close to fighting but aren't quite there yet. It's almost like a reward to say, hey, look, I see you putting in the effort. I still don't think you're ready to fight, but this is a great opportunity for you. So I've completely changed my tack on it. Hey, and I'm a big, Well,
we use it as first time to test heart and stuff, and just do that and off you go. But it's also good for bucket listers because, you know, they're not going to make a career out of fighting, but they just want that fight opportunity to like let them go as hard as they can and kick as hard as you can and get that fight simulation, but not go to office and never come back, you know. So yeah, I'm happy with it.
So I mean, it's like we've thought about doing like C class, B class. We haven't quite narrowed it down yet because we've got it in our rules, but we haven't done it here. We just like, because it's still full tie and they're still wearing the light shin pads.
Yeah, so light shin pads.
The only difference really is the armor and the 16-ounce gloves. And if you take the armor off, would you say that the only differentiating factor is just the shorter rounds and the bigger gloves?
Yeah. And then the other thing with the body armor too, like again, like it sucks. A lot of the guys don't like it, but again, we had mixed martial artists and stuff, like people who can't quite place knees properly, like, and it was just fucking a mess originally. So we've done this now, but I don't know. We might go down the path of taking them out. We'll see what the guys say. But then next step's amateur fights. So amateur fights here is just headgear, elbow pads, 10-ounce gloves. That's it. We don't have an in between. But ideally, I would like to see amateurs gone and just have development day straight to registered pros with elbow pads on and the headgear's off. And then when they're ready to go to 3 minutes, then we turn them into A class and then off they go. That's the path we want to push next year. We spoke to, I think Kieran, we spoke a bit about it. Spoke to Lewis, Aram, a couple of other guys. They're just keen that they just want to get on with it now too. So,
which is quite similar. That's quite similar to the UK, right? Very similar to the CBNA in the UK, and I think it works really well over there because guys have because those C class full development days, you can do 2 or 3 in a day, and you can do however many over however many months, and you've got 10 or 15 or 20 fights.
Yeah.
And then you get to B class, and again, the record starts again, much like it does amateur pro, say in Vic or whatever. But they've had that experience, and they're smarter, and they're better versed, and they're used to it.
We had two. We had one of Rod's guys fight twice on the weekend. I've had someone fight 3 times in a day. But that's what I say to people. If you're so tough and you want to do it, go fight. Or why don't you, if you are so tough and you're too good for that, why don't you just have 2 in a day then? We'll put you on the front of the card. You can fight again in the back, and that's cool too. The tough guys can do that. They got, but if they're going to do that, then after that they need to be fighting. So.
Which that my boy Dan is a good example of that. He fought your boy Reese on the weekend as a pro. Wouldn't have been able to do that had he not had. That's the one, man. Had he not had fight, he only on 2 MTA shows had 3 on one, on 2 on the other.
Yeah.
So by the time he came to fight Reese, he'd had 7 fights. Yeah, had he not had those opportunities, we wouldn't have been able to do that fight on the weekend, and he was not out of place in there at all. So things like that, man, to get the experience. Yeah,
I love him. I love him.
While we're on that,
yeah,
I need Andrew back for this.
Hello, PTJ Muay Thai. Andrew speaking.
Oh!
No, you can't suspend your membership.
You owe $1.50. I've called the collections department. It's answering mine. I answer the phone. It's like everything's like, who is this? How did you get this number?
I know, like my mobile now. No one's got my mobile, and someone calls you. What? Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Mum. Sorry.
This was minor. This was a minor thing last week, but because he went on air, and then the message I sent didn't get acknowledged. And we're talking about amateur and same day fight record. I'd just like to make it clear again that I did send you the full record for CC. You acknowledged it. I have screenshots, and then last week it's like, I was told 5 or 6 fights. Yeah.
All right, cool. Now that we've addressed that, Andrew.
Right, buddy.
That needs to be addressed because he was on the cast. And
anyway, moving on. Yeah, so then we had the amateur. Oh my God. Fuck it. Yeah. Let's take a call.
Oh.
Hello, PTJ Andrew speaking.
Oh, I hope this is a good one.
I hope it's about the refund.
Yes, can I call you back? I'm quite busy at the moment. Can you? That's why I got the voicemail there, but that's okay. I'll call you back in about how much longer I got in this meeting? 45 minutes. I'll call you back. Okay. Thank you, mate.
Man, this is raw and uncut, this podcast, isn't it? We have all kinds of, this is a day in the life of gym owners, this podcast.
Well, last week I had a fucking blue screen of doom.
Anyway. Raw and uncut, man. This is Muay Thai raw and uncut, the Muay Thai hour.
I've got a voicemail there.
I do feel like you bring a lot of things onto yourself.
Anyway, so let's move on.
Moving on.
Pro-Am was fucking hectic. Massive, sold out crowd. People still don't understand what sold out means, or that you should buy tickets in advance, like when you go to a concert. And if you can't come,
us promoters, especially you and I at the moment, being sold out is getting a little bit muddied up. So they must have thought we sold out in another way.
So I can't make it. Can I have a refund?
That's clever.
Sure. You can't. So if you went to an Eminem concert and you fucking had a wedding on the same day, could you ring up and get money back for an Eminem concert or another concert? Don't think so.
Talk about M&Ms. Now I want chocolate, and I'm trying not to eat chocolate for at least a week now that I've been sick.
Good on you.
It won't last. I went to that Turkish place just before. I refused the baklava, but they gave me a small serving of their rice pudding. Next time you're down and the Vina can't eat, you get the rice pudding.
I was supposed to have dinner with Kieran last night, but anyway. I have
another time.
Kieran, where are you right now?
Sydney.
Why?
I'm in Sydney. I'm in
Why?
Sydney town because I stayed. Because I stayed, man. Because it's not. I'm not going to have this conversation side, but there's a ranking, and it goes Canberra, Sydney, Melbourne.
Andrew, the legitimacy of that ranking, Canberra as number one. The third most unlivable city behind.
All he's concerned with is the fact that Sydney's above Melbourne, man. He's taken that dub. He's taken the dub on that. Just
don't care about anything else other than that.
There we go.
So anyway,
amateur and pro.
The card was good. Amateur card. Some real standouts of the day.
Can I do my Peter Sherwood joke?
Go.
Yes.
A man goes to the psychiatrist wearing glad wrap underpants. The psychiatrist takes one look at him and says, "I can see your nuts."
Moving on. Fucking hell.
That's so good. Thank you, Peter. I love your sense of humor.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, so the amateurs was mad, man. The some standouts, obviously. I think Linda did really well from your gym. Jane from our gym did a really good job. Jackson, Afa from, I think he's from Lewis, SRG. And Gabrielle really kind of stood out against our girl as well. I think I said to you before, Kieran, like Gabrielle's really like just stepping up to another level now. I feel like she's heaps more confident in her skin. Like you can see when she's jumping in the ring now. She's there to fight and fight hard. So
bring her out in February to fight you and Zia.
Huh?
Pardon?
I'm talking to Kieran. Bring her out in February to fight you and Zia from Dynamite Muay Thai.
Okay.
Done.
Cool.
Fuck, I just got some siang in my eye, man. Shit. Anyway, moving on.
You right?
What is it?
Siang.
Oh wow. Oh,
Yeah, just like
I got that stuff.
You could do with a bit of this side. You could do with shoving one of these up your nostrils right now, man.
Yeah, that'd be good for you.
Not nostril. My nostril doesn't exist. So. And then the pro card, guys. Let's discuss that before I ask Andrew if he feels that him taking on too much as a promoter is negatively impacting his fighters. So we'll leave that for after the fights. Go on.
Yeah, fuck. So results wise, Dan Tinkler beat Talker. He was in really good form and beat Reese. Kale. Luke Taylor defeated Oliver Hale. That's just too big. I love Ollie and love having him on the shows, but he's got to cut weight. And that showed. No, like taking nothing away from Luke. Luke stepped up to turn pro to take that fight because he just can't get any fights anymore as an amateur, and he was great. Darla defeated Tracy again, so I think that's kind of been ticked off the box now. Darla was looking in good form, but saying that again, Tracy was like showing signs of like a real nice left kick again. So, and then Tuck versus Michael Slawinski. So Tuck is now based out of SPC with Narong. He fought Ibi a while ago on Siam to Sydney at 57 kilos, I think. Back then he wasn't full-time training and was a chef, I think, and training part-time and fighting. But now that he's training full-time, he's really even his physique, man, like he's looking real good. And I mean, Michael took a step up, but I think now because Tuck's fight training, it's a different thing. But you know what, Michael held his own and made it through. So it was a good experience for him. He's a good guy and he's one to watch out for, Michael Zielinski. So thanks for that, mate. Pet versus Kai Wheat Jones. Again, I was a little bit hesitant on the size on this one, and Kai again, much like Luke Taylor, hasn't been able to get any fights, so he turned pro to fight the Thai boy. I was hesitant of the size, and yeah, the size was a thing, but man, he handled it really well, and Kai did a great job there. Cruz and Kim. Cruz took that one out. He showed no signs of ring rust at all, whereas Kim did, and just kind of trounced him. I mean, Kim showed some form in the second round, like of what he should be like, but the long time off, yeah, he showed rust in that. And Cruz being Cruz, just a confident bloke, and you know, training out of his own gym, you just never know what's going to happen there, but he was bang on, ready to go. And if he sticks out Muay Thai and continues to fight next year, I could look out, man. Like any doubts about his former opponents, who he's faced in the past, because earlier on in his career he had a few walkthroughs, but now, man, like fucking look out. That's all I got to say, man. Like anyone at 67 in particular. 69 might be a bit big depending on who he's fighting, but anyone at 67, man, look out next year. And then Yolanda and Diandra, yeah, I mean, I thought we were winning quite comfortably for the first part of that, and Yolanda was finding a rhythm, cutter, yanking on her neck, all that, body shots, having a mad time, and then fucking
cut from a head clash. It wasn't an elbow,
wasn't it?
No, it was a head clash.
I'll have to have a look. And then 1-2 left kick up to the head, and good night. I thought that head kick was actually when Yolanda was coming in for the body shot, to be quite honest, but when you watch that slow-mo reel, it was in an exchange. So yeah, and that was it. It's horrible to see, but fuck, man, what do you do? Other than that, other than the results of my fighters, it was a fucking epic day.
So with like Kim, would you think that this is like he's going to stick it out and keep fighting, or was this just to sort of test the waters in Australia and just focus on his coaching, or where do you think he's at?
He wants to fight again. He's got that Korean die on your sword type of mentality that he wants to fight again. So that was a big test for his first fight back, but again, like the ring rust really showed. You could see like it just in the way that he stands, and I've watched him fight before, and Racharachai could actually attest to his level because he's trained with him before and that, and I was like, you know, what's he like? He's like, no, he's good, man. So again, I think he's just got to kind of creep back into it now and find his feet in the Aussie scene, and see how we go next year.
With when you're matching that fight, were you expecting it to be Cruz's physicality and sort of aggressiveness versus Kim's sort of experience and craftiness?
Yeah, and the fact that they've both had layoffs. So I don't think Cruz has fought since Japan or even Chalk. So it's been a while, and running his own gym, I thought, you know, it might be good for both of them, and just to see where Kim's at too. So yeah, well, Cruz showed, I'll say.
I think I would like. I think that's the difficulty. They both had time out, but Kim's a little bit older?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. But I feel like, especially for the guys who like they're going in there to win out of like being more technical and having better timing and stuff, time out affects them more than a guy that's going to try to win the fight more out of like physicality and aggressiveness. And that's like I said to you the other day, like Matt Lucas and I had a little side bet on the main event. And like, I have no doubt on Yolo's ability ever, or Diandra's, but I knew they both had time out from the ring. But my concern for Yolo was that because she's a little bit older and she was at a slight physical disadvantage, that's harder to sort of maintain for 5 rounds against someone younger, physically a bit bigger, and they're kind of under uptick. So
yeah,
it's hard. They make interesting fights normally, but I think that timeout amplifies the physical difference.
yeah, I think so. I mean, experience versus size, and we had to eat to stick at 57, and but you know, like it's just a fair loss, man. Like there's nothing. I'm not taking anything away from Deandra on that one at all, because that was always going to be the thing going into it, is that, you know, we can still make 53 and a half, I think, comfortably. But still, like, it's fucking Deandra and it's fucking Yolanda Schmidt, man. Like, she's fought all around the world, and she's dropped chicks with right hands, cut chicks, dropped chicks with, Yolanda's right hand on Rebellion was the first time I've ever seen a chick drop a chick with a single punch, like a 1-punch KO proper.
Well, she won her first fight on Road to Rebellion. Like, I think it was her 3rd fight. She knocked the girl into La La Land.
Yeah.
She fought Nat on Road to Rebellion 4 and like knocked her out with an elbow, like broke her cheek. Like even though despite the weight, you'd never think of Yolo as being in a physical disadvantage.
Yeah. And there's so many girls in her highlight reels getting fucked up. Unfortunately, now she's in someone's highlight reel getting fucked up. So that's the nature of the sport. And I mean, I meant to make a post on it, and we talk about, everyone gets lost in the romanticism of Muay Thai, and people, the fucking holiday fighters who go to Thailand, and it's like this beautiful thing. It's a fucking fight. And if you make a mistake, you're going to get fucked up. Let's be brutally honest here. And that wasn't exactly the thing. And Yolanda's got a beautiful presence. Her Muay crew is amazing. But she's a demon, and she's fucked a lot of girls up before. And you saw what happened in the crowd. Like, even Diandra, she was celebrating, and then she's like, oh, what have I done here? Because one mistake is all it takes, and you're on your ass, and you're in a lot of pain. Or not, because you don't know where you are.
Now, Kieran, that wasn't the first head kick, left kick that Diandra threw. I think she threw like 3 of them in that round.
Yeah, she threw
a couple that, like, I think just Yolo laid back one. There was one that landed on the glove. Was that a strategic thing going into that fight specifically? Is that something you guys saw?
Yeah, I honestly, going into it, thought Diana was going to knock her out with it, and she did. Like, I planned for it, and I thought it was going to happen, and it did. I'm not again, it's not the same thing, but the reason I was so confident is because, like, Diana hasn't had the chance to show. People know her and worry about, like, her teeping you in the face, and like everyone knows she does those few things, and no one's seen that left kick like she can. I know she can throw it because she throws it without switching, and especially off of the punch. So I honestly thought that it was either going to be to the neck, or she was going to land that left kick off of Yolo throwing that big right hand over and over, and just like that would pay off into the later rounds. And I just thought one of those two things, because, man, Diandra, the thing is, although Diandra sort of shot to popularity quickly, I think because of her style, and she's enjoyable to watch, but hasn't had as many fights as maybe people think she has, so hasn't got to show everything that she does or has, because I mean that was her 12th fight, like, or her 13th fight, and so there's still a lot more.
Oh, well, Andrew thought it was 4.
And yeah, man, it was like, honestly, but I'll tell you what though, you because in giving credit to Yolanda, Diandra was fucking, man, and I'll say it, she was terrified, man, because she knew what Yolanda was capable of, and she'd seen it. Yep. And everyone, I mean, I've lost personally as a coach, I've lost to Yolo 3 times. So that was like, man, she knows what Yolo was capable of. And we all knew, and it was, you know, in the 6-8 weeks leading up to it, it was having Max and Davey just fucking raring at her, and Josh raring at her for 6 weeks. And man, she took it the serious she's ever taken anything. And we knew, even though we gave away the weight, I don't reckon Diandra's never faced someone that could have hurt her or hit her like Yolo was. So she took it man, very, very seriously.
And I think what you said before, Andy, it was I think there's that that show Kingdom. There's a guy who owns an MMA gym. The main character that had some show on Netflix where they go to different countries and do the sports, and he goes to Thailand and he's with this camp. And then at the end of the fight, they actually did a translation of the trainer just ripping shreds into this kid. You fucking idiot. I can't believe you fought like that, rah, rah, rah. And the over romanticizing Muay Thai because of the cultural stuff attached to it. And it is for me, like I've watched plenty of boxing fights and seen people get hurt. Even me, who I think I'm pretty realistic with violence, like when I saw Yola get hurt, I said to my wife, I'm like, I don't know if I want to keep doing, like I struggle. I think part of it is because I know these people. Like, it's like if Diandra got hurt, I would have been the same. Anyone gets hurt, like, you know them, you just get shattered. But at the same time, because there's so many of the Thai boxing fights, there isn't that many knockouts like in boxing. So you kind of see it. You see the exchanges. We see them in the back room when they're like getting stitched up and they're limping the next day and whatever else. But the knockout, like the reality of it, even though you see it in MMA and boxing all the time, when it happens in Thai boxing, it's just like, holy fuck. And it's someone you know, just.
Well, how about that quite famous video of Miguel Cotto? You know, that one where he's speaking to his wife after that fight and he's bruised and battered and he's saying to his wife, I don't know anything else. I can't stop. I don't know. Yeah. Man, that one always gets me. I'm always like, oh, shit.
I think I've seen this now.
Yeah, man, that video always gets me.
It was interesting. We had a couple of, the Athletes Authority guys who look after some of our fighters. A couple of the interns came in and watched that. And Cynthia, one of the girls, actually commented on that. And because the guys go in there and, I mean, I think Muay Thai fighters are quite unique in that respect. And they'd never been to a fight. And when they saw the guys fight and the way everyone carried themselves and their opponents and stuff, and even out the back sheds and stuff, and she said, I kind of get it now. Like, the way that they carry themselves in the ring versus in the gym and the way they're hardworking and stuff, it all kind of gels together quite nicely. And I can understand the way they act now. And I was like, that was really interesting. Like, it was good for someone who's so new, but also seen them train so hard and all that, to actually see them finally fight and go through that process with them together was really cool. So shout out to those guys too.
Yeah, I've definitely, like I think I mentioned before, I've taken some of my pure boxing guys to Muay Thai shows and even kickboxing shows in the back room and vice versa. And generally, a lot of the boxing people go, I can't believe how everyone's just hanging out with each other and there's nothing. They go out, they have this ridiculously brutal thing, come back, and everyone's in the back just chatting again. And the trainers are like, whereas the boxing is just like, you're there. It's like you're in fucking jail yard and like, you don't want to make eye contact.
We're just circus folk, man. Carnies. Yeah. Circus folk. Just going from show to show, fucking bashing each other.
And like, you know, I mean, there's always exceptions, but that brings me to something that, you know, Pinky's put up a couple of times that happened on a show on the weekend where one of his guys basically got clocked, turned on his heels, like that he was out, and you know, like I think the referee could have jumped in and stopped that. But anyway, the guy's gone down, and then the fighters landed another shot while he's on the ground as the referee's separating him. There's two things with this. Obviously, that's all we've seen of it. I don't know if the Pinky's guy had like, I know for a fact Pinky wouldn't have let it happen, but I don't know what had happened before to maybe make this guy go like that. But on all accounts, it was just a normal fight. This guy did it. There's two things. A, why the fuck is a fighter even remotely doing that? People saying the heat of battle, bullshit. If the penalty is big enough, people pull their head in. And then the next thing is, apparently, again, this is secondhand, the gym the fighter was from using it as like a promotional material, like the knockout. It's when this stuff happens in Muay Thai, it's so out of place that it's like, it just shocks me. And then
how many fights has he had, man? That's the thing. If he's brand new, he probably just can't control himself. And the referee should have been there. I don't know. Is he brand new? Because I mean, we've had it. I think we had it on the weekend. We had a girl. Some of us.
But man, we can say it. My girl Linda, she did it.
Yeah.
She went completely fucking batshit crazy, blanked out, and the girl dropped and she just went bang. And there were little girls, so it was more so the crowd laughed and I laughed and I yelled out like, Linda, you can't do that. And she got back to the corner. I said to her, Linda, you can't do that. And she goes, do what?
Yeah.
She goes, I don't know what I did. And she had just like completely no memory of the whole round. And not to say that it excuses it. And
this was on a professional show.
Well, Corey had buttered Jamie. Remember that?
Sorry?
Corey
Jamie.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. That versus someone's on the floor and the referee's got their arm between the two of you.
Yeah.
And you punch a dude on the ground with gloves on. Like,
no good. No, of course it's no good. Of
Yeah.
course it's not. I don't think we're defending. I think we're just trying to.
Defending poor behavior.
Just want to know how many fights the guys had, and but again, using that as a promo clip, you could use the punch as a promo clip, but you got to maybe cut that last bit out.
I think if we hang on to things for too long too, it just becomes a waste of energy. It's just like, you've done the wrong thing. This is bad. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Like that was a terrible thing to do. If they're using it in promotional stuff, no. If the guy's like clearly just being a dick, like, you're a dick, you shouldn't have done that. Here's your fucking red card. Let's like move on from it now. We don't have to. I don't think we need to keep like over and over. If they keep using it as promotional material, well, then fine, we can keep talking about it. But if it's said and done, let's just write it off as a shit dog act and leave it.
I agree.
Now the next part, we'll probably have to get some sort of subtitles on him so he understands that we did talk about it. LM Dev and Michael Green, their 1774 show, 12th of February, they've announced a huge double header. We sort of already knew that we're doing it and like waiting for the announcement. It was pretty cool. It's even by my standards, a pretty crazy thing to do in New South Wales, putting two Queenslanders versus two Brazilians, but two massive fights. Chad Collins and Jonathan Ilu taking on Caraba and Lobo, I think. Yep.
Caraba and Lobo, yep. Great fights. Good fights. Yeah, man, those Brazilian boys, they're good. And good for Leo to get out to Australia as well. Good for them to come. And I mean, yeah, it's crazy. Like, good on them for having the balls to put on two Queenslanders versus two international. Like, that's amazing. And the fans will, win big. Man, if you're watching this and you can go watch it in person, the minute a ticket becomes available, fucking buy it. Like, the best ticket you can, buy it right away. You have to go and watch this in person.
I've got my BOA that's been postponed 73 times on February 13. And now on Monday, I want to have a chat to my friend who's also my matchmaker, Tiago. It's like, why don't we do the weigh-ins in the morning? Like, grappling guys are used to that. Or Peter Sherwood was going to have to run the weigh-ins for me on Saturday. I really want to be busy for that fight. I'd spoken to the boys. I was trying to bring, I think, Lobo out to fight Singh about 2.5 years ago when he still had his Glory contract as well. And that never happened. So I'm so glad to see them doing it. But one of the things that Kieran, Aram realized in the last day that Andy wanted to talk about as well is a new rule they're introducing with promotions in New South Wales.
So the
part of the caste system in New South Wales. We
are legit going down a caste system. So if you're from the west or southwest now, as per the lockdowns, it was fucking. They're going down that path now with our shows. So in the infinite wisdom, the police have now said that any combat sports event in Southwest or Western Sydney, I think it's West or Inner West, now have to have the compulsory pay. What do you call them? What are they called? Paid police.
Paid police.
Yeah, paid police.
User pay police.
User pay police. We need 5 of them at each event. They're charged at $130 an hour, and they need to be there half an hour before until half an hour after, regardless of the event. So to get your permit, that's required. So I think, I've spoken to a boxing promoter today who was fuming. I know that there's some big amateur boxing events. We're starting to go into the like the pathways now for Olympics and shit. Those types of events are amateur boxing, development days. Even if you wanted to have like a little padded event, let's call it a 3-hour event, even in a small gym or venue, 3 hours, 5 times 130, multiply that by 4 hours. You're looking at $5,000. That's
Crazy.
just for the cops, and you need your security. So there's going to be either a shakeout. We've got to try and organize a meeting to talk about it, but I don't know where this has come from. It's pretty sad actually, because I'm worried that might filter into the rest of Sydney, but as per the COVID lockdowns, I doubt it. It'll probably just stay in the West, and which is unfair. It's shit, man.
Has there been an event recently where something big enough happened to warrant them wanting to do that, like across any sort of event?
Someone got shot at a show not long ago, but not at a show,
Outside
outside a show.
Yeah.
No, that's it, man. Like I can't. So now everyone's scrambling, trying to figure out what they're going to do, because, I just can't fathom like what that'll like. There's a lot of good venues down there. Even my Siam to Sydney show, I was going to call it Siam to Sydney. Down at
that's what Sai calls it, man. That's what when Sai talks to me, that's what he calls it.
At Auburn, can't do it, man. I'm not going to pay fucking
crazy
$6,000. Like, that's fucked up, man. Like,
crazy.
I don't know. So I think the only way around it is for shows to not be in those local area commands. But that being said, when you move into the other local area commands, I copped a couple of phone calls on mine. They may end up making it Sydney-wide. If they make it Sydney-wide, man, I think we're done. I know that's a real bleak.
You say this about everything, but that you'll be done. You won't be done.
The way around it.
I think the issue is, obviously they have a concern about the events that are held in those areas are either attracting a certain crowd or something. If those shows move 10Ks out, it's not like those people don't know how to drive a car and go 10Ks out and attend the same shows. Or motorbikes or whatever they do. So it's hard to comprehend. There's a few things. Number one is that. Number two is it wipes out smaller events. Potentially some events that they're concerned about, the kind of people that are behind it or doing it. That $5,000-6,000 is going to impact those guys a lot less than a lot of the other shows.
Yep. Yeah, you're right.
Do they charge the AFL and stuff for all the cops that are at like games, or is that part of just general policing? Like, do they charge people to show up to watch the Swans play whoever the fuck in the SCG? Like, this is, I don't know. So I'm generally asking, but I did find stuff like when we did Rebellion in Sydney, having to put CCTV there and putting a sign on the door saying no colors allowed and rah. I was just like,
I haven't seen colours in the streets of Sydney for fucking
ages, right? Yeah, because there's anti-consorting laws anyway.
Yeah.
So there's no, you can't. So it seems peculiar.
I just feel like it's going to impact smaller shows that can afford it more than, like, if you're worried about gangsters being involved in shows, $5,000 to them at a show when it's like.
We're going to have police sponsors. So can you please sponsor our show to cover the costs of the fucking policemen that have got to be there. But in the end, what's the point in having security? Like,
well, exactly, man,
like,
exactly.
If it gets out of hand, you call the cops. They come. Five police minimum. So if I'm going to do a development day event at, let's say, Aaron's gym, fuck, you can only fit 100 people in there.
And this is where I don't understand, in that any show that I've been to recently anyway, I've always seen the cops come at some point.
Yeah.
Right. So they come because obviously you do have to put a permit into you've got to notify the area command and what have you. So they're coming anyway. And so I said this, Andy, to you and Art yesterday, like, this is not like, it's like we own a gold. Anyone who's been to Thailand who knows that, like, when you've got a gold shop and they pay the cops to come and sit in the front to be their security guards. Like, are we turning into that? Because, well, then what? Then get rid of the security guard requirement and just have the cops do it all. Get the cops to check bads. Get the cops to get the cops to do it. Then, if that's
we've had a few, like, we get at venues where we've held our own liquor license at a town hall and stuff. They tend to come in at least once a night just to check.
Yep.
Which is fine. They come in and go. My first show at St. Kilda, I got fined $900 because we'd put glass bottles on the catered tables. And I was like, I didn't even jerry on what was happening because we weren't selling glass, but on the tables we had, copped it. And they basically said, next time it happens, it's like $18,000. And basically anyone with a glass bottle now gets yelled at. At the Collingwood show, the liquor licensing guys came and stood there the whole night. I think they were watching the fights, but that was the most pushback I'd ever had with my liquor license. And the only thing that really got me through was that I'd done a whole bunch of shows. They came, they were part of liquor licensing. But there was one show in Melbourne 3 years ago. We had a boxer on and he was Irish. And I had all these guys from the gym going and all their Irish mates. And I'm like, listen, there's going to be some special people there. Don't get in arguments. Don't get all Irish bravado. When up and down, everyone be at one point near the door, blah, blah, blah. We show up, there's like 15 cop cars. The cops stood there the whole night, shut the bar down at 10 o'clock. It was ridiculous. Like, there was, you know, at the end scene in Blues Brothers, when they're singing and all the guys are up the top, and it's like orange whip, 4 orange whips. It was like that. And then they came back and hit the promoter's a friend of mine with like a $9,000 bill.
What?
Yeah. And then the city of Greater Dandenong, which there was so many shows. I did a boa there. A bunch of people used to promote shows there. Vukovic used to promote shows there. Peter Hannon used to promote shows there. Hisham used to promote shows there. Im used to do, I don't know if you guys remember Ancient Battleground, the Cambodian versus City of Greater Dandenong. You cannot run a fight show in any of their venues anymore.
Oh, that's what's going to happen now. I mean, like venue, so Auburn has got a few venues there. Hurstville Civic Centre, the one that the boys are using, they're like venues that have multiple events. So I don't know, we're going to all have a meeting, but I almost feel like now it's time for the venues to get involved as well. They'll need to, get together and say, look, guys, like, who's going to cover this? This is because why have security to have another 5? So you get slapped with like minimum requirements of security at some of these venues, which is over the top anyway. So, well, if I'm going to pay those guys $130, I want them to fucking work too. You know what I mean? Like,
I think they see themselves as a different tier of response. So that police aren't going to stand there and
5 of them.
Now, I understand. City of Hobson's Bay, whatever it is, Williamstown here. There's a massive venue there, Seaworks. They're a government trust thing. Like, hold on. I went there, had an hour meeting with them, took my kids, showed them all the rebellion stuff, put it to their trust. They're like, yep, cool, no worries. You can do a show there. Let us know when your date is. I give them a date like 7 weeks later. They came back with, no, the trust has reviewed it. They don't want any combat sports. Williamstown Town Hall, great venue. My security's doing a gig there. It speaks to them. They're like, oh, we'd love to have events here. Cool. I send them an email. The guy comes back and goes, literally in the last 2 days, we've been told we don't want any combat sports. Melbourne Town Hall in the city. here, like Tarek used to run shows there. They don't want to do fight sports. Crown Casino, like, man, how good a venue is that? Can't do fights there. Michael Vukovic used to do the Queensbridge Hotel, QBH, and that
Chelsea
was
High.
famous Mother's Day. They called it the Mother's Day Massacre or whatever. They squashed them, and then they found a way to take that. Like, this stuff's for real. Like, those are some of the things as promoters and fight sports people we got to remember when we do events. Is it's good to say certain things, but if you don't, they find a way to shut you out. And what they go after is the liquor license for venues, and all the other licensing and stuff you can kind of get through and navigate your way. But liquor licensing, especially here, if they want to fuck a venue, they just pull their liquor license.
Well, I mean, and people got to remember when you go to a show too, and like, and it's all nice to act all hard and whatever, but you're legitimately starting to impact the sport to the point where you're going to block us out of events, you're going to block us out of permits, you're going to cost us financially. I don't know, man.
I should be able to.
I got put onto the light and sound company when we did Moorabbin Town Hall, the Sittijai show, because the venue I'd use had lighting. Moving into this venue, I call this guy up. Apparently, he used to do shows. He goes, "Oh, fight sports." He goes, "I'm not doing your show. We never get paid." I was like, "I'll pay you before the event." He goes, "No, we're right. Thank you."
Oh, not about that, but that's
Man, you should. I think the 5 cops. You should be able to give them a job. Put one of them on gloves. Put one of them running gloves. Put one of them.
I should bring that up. Like, if you're going to pay it, if I got to pay you $150 to stand at the door, check fucking wristbands.
Yeah, do something, man. Far out.
Do COVID fucking checking. I don't know, man. You got to do something. But anyway,
that plus security is, yeah. Anyway,
watching this one closely, man, because it's a thing.
And especially for amateur events, boxing, New South Wales events, all those sort of things. Like,
that's the worst.
You know, the smaller events are the ones that are going to get more impacted. And Andrew, we were talking about earlier today. I look at my budget sheets and stuff for shows over the last 10 years, and the only 2 groups of people who aren't getting more money is the fighters and the promoter.
Yeah,
everything's gone up, and you know that's the way the world works. But these costs get added. Like, even here with our permit used to be like $100. Now it's like $950. Yeah. Everything has gone up. The lighting that we used to pay $2,000, we now pay $7,000. Everything has gone up. And when you add one more expense, just when you think you're getting some breathing room, and people on the outside, unless you're a promoter, you don't understand all the little expenses. It makes it hard because we want to pay the fighters more. And we'd like to make some, like, you know, people go, "Oh, it's not about the money." It's like, you know, it's hard to stay motivated and run events if you keep not making money, and it affects your other stuff. But again, it's just making it harder and harder. And you can't really put, you know, our general admin tickets used to be 16 out of 70 10 years later. I wouldn't put it to $80. It doesn't make sense to me.
No.
And it's like
$6,000 divided by, like, how many
100 tickets
and an event?
It's 100 tickets. And at a show that, let's say, has an 800 seat capacity or 900 seat capacity, 100 of those tickets are just going to go to your police cost, and then you got all the other stuff, the venue, the security, bang, 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 and you're going, what's left?
Anyway, so
and that's the hard thing for people like Aram and Greenie, who, you know, they're 2 months out. They're probably, I'm hoping they've done a tight budget on having 2 international fighters coming in. And now it's like, oh, and here's some more money.
Yep. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, that's a positive note to finish the year, boys.
Oh, it always sound like we're complaining.
Airing of grievances.
Anything coming up over the next? When are we? What's the schedule, Si? Are we back on from the 10th? This is our last show. Or are we going next week?
But next week we've got Nugget on next week. We'll finish off the year with Nugget.
Finish the year.
Let's do that.
And we'll jump back on in January. We'll start. When's your first show of next year?
March 17, I think.
I spoke to ex-New South Wales, current Victorian guy yesterday. He's not in Melbourne for February 26th. So he said maybe Parnham can put me on his show. I'm like, maybe he can.
Who's that?
Would I not just say the name if I was at liberty to say the name?
Okay, well, good. No worries. Nice chatting, guys.
Before we go.
Before we go.
We're not even closely to our hour, or we're almost there. But in the news, 2 out of the 3 sports that they've taken up the preliminary list for the next Olympics, amateur boxing and weightlifting. Amateur boxing, this last Olympics was not run by AIBA. It was run by the Olympic Boxing Committee or something that was, I think.
AIBA in disguise?
No, I think it was like gymnastics, International Gymnastics Federation, or someone had put a committee together. AIBA has changed their name as of 2 days ago to IBA. They had a whole bunch of stuff in. There was a report in trying to get over corruption. Boxing's notoriously corrupt. Weightlifting obviously has a multitude of issues. 2 sports that I'd say Thai boxing could have some things in common with to see. Seeing things like that, does that make the distant memory of ever being an Olympic sport makes it even harder?
I don't think so, man. I don't know why. The more sports that get kicked out, the more opportunities it could potentially create for us. But because they have said that they want to make it more the games to be more modern, right? And they want to add things like France is supposed to be the one where they're going to start to kick that off with things like breakdancing and all that. So combat sports, MMA, man, who knows? But boxing have fucking dug a big grave and continue to do that. So unfortunately,
I think I can see Thai boxing getting a foot in when, every country gets the choice of a sport to include as part of like the provisional roster for the games in that year. It doesn't mean they're included in the Olympics. They're included for that year. I can see maybe like a Thailand being given the fucking 20, 30 something Olympics and saying, hey, we're making Thai boxing our sport that gets in. And then that's
so well.
And then that's the foot in the door. But man, you look
on time. No concerns at all. Nothing.
But you look at, I mean, some of the sports that we would have to compete against, and then, man, they've got really big communities and they're massive sports. And I think it's not, I don't really see it happening. I don't want to be the negative Nancy in it, but I don't see it happening. So I think it's great to represent your country as well, but there's a reason the boxers turn pro and don't go to the Olympics anymore, is because it's for pride of country and it's to get a gold medal.
Boxing is notoriously corrupt, and I think any international sporting organization that has a very, very heavy influence by a couple of countries, so like wrestling gets really controlled, like the Russians and Azerbaijanis and stuff, they've got their hand in it heavy. Boxing's just, man, the last president of AIBA, I think he's wanted in several countries for narco terrorism, like the stuff that goes on there. And you show up to some of these sports to watch any international competition and it looks like a cast straight out of The Sopranos. So I think the Thai boxing's best chance of going in would be diversified, open, and
man, the Russians go to IFMA events on private planes with doctors who carry briefcases, who carry big, large metal briefcases. Let's not pretend like we've got some sort of fucking angelic whole, like, man.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Their best
Muay Thai
chance
is
to make
not
the federation as open and like have elections and presidents up for election and stuff. But before we go, did anyone find out what happened to Combat Lake? He won his semi-final, I think, against Russia, and then the decision got changed and he was out. Anyone heard anything?
Well, you can go, and I think I wrote this too because I've seen it in action at IFMA events. You have like, I think it's like half an hour or something. Yeah. You have to go with a few $100 US and put it in straight away. Yeah. You have to go and get US cash, go to the head judges table and go, I want you to review that. And then they review it. And if they think it should be overturned, they'll overturn it. And whether or not maybe you just put a few extra $50 notes on top and it definitely gets overturned. I'm not sure, but I remember one in particular that stuck in my mind, and it was Shevchenko. It was Valentina Shevchenko's mum, and she's the coach of, I think it's Kyrgyzstan. And I saw her absolutely lose it. And she yelled at someone. She was yelling at one of her corners, rah, 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 and the corner just went into his pocket, pulled out a heap of US cash and gave it to her. And she grabbed it and ran over to the judges table, fucking slammed it down in front of them. Man, it's, yeah.
It was like
if you lose the appeal,
Olympics. For wrestling, I think it used to be 600 Swiss francs or something to get a review. And none of the other countries would do it. The Americans literally protested every bout that they didn't get pinned. Every bout was like, it's under review. I'm like, you lost by tech sub. They just had the money to do it. And these other countries are just like, Jesus fucking man.
You reckon they put that money in the balance sheet, or you reckon it just...
Yeah.
You reckon they put it in the balance sheet or what?
They were paying for the police to guard them.
Yeah, of course. Andrew. Yes. Here we go, man. Here we go.
Now I know.
Beautiful. All right, guys. Well, thanks everyone for joining another episode, and we're keeping it relatively close to an hour. So whoever's running those snarky descriptions in the YouTube videos and the uploads, Tom Gathical, maybe you want to point out that we're sticking to a schedule. Have a good week, everyone. All the Rebellion and Roots fights are going up one fight at a time at the moment on YouTube. They've been edited and cleaned up. So enjoy that. Andrew, are you putting the Siam card up?
Yeah, next year.
Yeah. All but 3 of the pro fights.
I think you can jump on and buy it now if you want to.
Wait, on Siam to Sydney.
2022 police fund.
So is it .com.au or just .com?
.com/live.
.com/live. All right, guys. Cheers, and hopefully next week we will have Mr. Nugget McNaught with us to finish up a big year. Adios, amigos.
Adios.